Good morning. So today we are going to end this session, and what a better topic could have been picked other than the first line of our service every Sunday, that they chant the name of the Lord. This is the beginning of our service every Sunday, and this is going to be the end of our service for this session. That is, how to remember God all the time, incessantly. This is a major challenge to all the devotees everywhere. Whatever spiritual path anyone is following, anywhere, it is if he or she is sincere in his or her spiritual life, then this is the challenge. Because the world is so very deeply engaging. Not that the devotees, they want to stay away from God, not that they want to forget God, not that they consider God and their spiritual life as less important, but they are so very deeply busy in their life, everyday life. And in course of time, it is not just busy, it is so very enchanting, attracting. It is so much so that even when they try to engage in their spiritual life, they find it hard to stay on the path of their spiritual practice. Call it distraction. The world is calling, like the mother who is trying to do her daily chores of life, the child is crying in the back. It is a distraction. So in the mind, a portion of the mind all the time feels attraction, a call back, a pull back from the world. And in course of time, when they are too much busily engaged in their worldly activities and their life, they slowly even remain forgetful about their engaging in spiritual life. This also is a reality of life. Like people taking a nap and then they forget how long they have been taking the nap. This happens, and after a long time they wake up and they say that I have stayed away from my real interest in religious life for such a long period of time, how it all happened, or the place where I wanted to be, and it has been a long time I remained forgetful about it. So how to do right thing and not be deviated or distracted. How we can do the constantly remembering, maintaining the memory of the Lord and the divine. This is necessary and this is important, everybody knows. Why? Because the life is so short and so very temporary in nature. In no time it will be gone and it will be over. Every day we see so many people, they die close to our heart. They have been perfectly fine and doing everything, and we took it for granted that it will continue like this forever. But all of a sudden we find they are no more there with us. The great question that was asked to Yudhishthira in Mahabharata through Yaksha, what is that surprising thing in our life? And the answer came, we see people die every day, but we think that we shall not die. We shall remain as it is. And it is not about us, similarly for everybody else. Our family members, our friend, our society, everything that is encircling us, we believe that it will continue as it is today to my liking, the way I like it, set up, perfectly done, and it will stay like this forever. But nothing is going to happen. Intellectually, rationally, we understand it. We know it. So, if this world is not going to stay like this as I like it and as I have developed it and created it, the world around me, then what is the right thing for me to do? And the answer comes from the great teachers everywhere. Remember God, because that is one permanent reality in your life that will stay with you, whatever happens to you, whatever happens to this world, everything gone, still that one constant parameter that is there, and it is not going anywhere else. You try to enhance your relationship, your bond with that more and more, because that will give you more security, safety, permanence, happiness, satisfaction, and eventually perfection in your life. So this message and this teaching, intellectually we understand and we accept, but in practice, in our daily life, we fail to follow the path perfectly. So today we are trying to have some kind of conversation and discussion here to make our final session more meaningful and practical. When we talk, let us be more practical and not just wander in the theories and in the scripture. Sri Ramakrishna says that is easy. He says that is easy. Turn the base metal into gold first by touching the philosopher's stone, and then the gold remains gold even if it is buried under any kind of rubbish or clay for 1,000 years. Even after that, if you dig it out, it remains gold. So, first realize God and then go into the world, and you will be perfectly safe and never forget God. Simple and easy. He gave this answer. He said that, well, your mind is like milk, world is like water. If you put the water and milk together, you cannot take out the milk away from the water. It will all become watery and diluted. So, you can do this, that first extract butter from that milk and then put the butter into water. It will never mix into the water. It stays butter. So, realize God first and then go to the world. I am not telling you that you don't go to the world, but first realize God, which is your primary objective in your life as a human being, as Sri Ramakrishna was very clear in his mind and always advised that God realization is the only purpose, not the main purpose, only purpose of a human birth. So you have been, by great good fortune, you have now found a human birth. There are millions and millions of other kinds of species and creatures crawling on this earth's surface. They cannot think of God. Forget about their possibility of realizing God, which is the ultimate reality, the truth of all creatures. It is the pure consciousness, the God which is dwelling even in those tiny crawling creature. That is the ultimate reality and essence of that creature. But no other creature, however big and muscular and strong and whatever they are, nobody can think of God. It is only human being who can think of God. And you have been given this precious opportunity of a human birth, and not only human birth, a wonderful human birth in which you are thinking religiously. Your mind is turning towards religion. Don't lose this opportunity. Don't miss this time. Pay attention to your primary objective of your life and realize God first. Well, he can say so, and he can say, give this advice, that first realize God and then go into the world back. Number one, realizing God is not that simple and easy, sir. Number two, by the time we wake up into the awareness about who we are and what we are doing, and we have got our own, some kind of strong will develop that we want this and we do this way. By that time we are already worldly minded, especially in this modern time. In this modern age, the other day a couple with their young son was visiting us, and they were lamenting that this boy who is about to enter into adolescent age, going to the school, will have the peer pressure to have a girlfriend. He cannot pay full attention to the studies because girlfriend is a must. If he doesn't get a girlfriend, then all other boys and girls, they will consider him to be inferior in the social circle. Think of it. Think of the situation in the modern world where even you're becoming a grown-up person, you are a worldly person. You have to become worldly minded. You have to be paying more attention how you can be successful financially and find a girlfriend, boyfriend, and all sorts of things. If you cannot do that, then you are something inferior, insignificant. You are not equal to rest, and everybody has to work harder in this competition of becoming worldly first, and then think about anything. So in this world, this modern world, Sri Ramakrishna did not see this world, but I'm guessing that the God incarnate came as a preemptive advice and guidelines first to provide for the world to be prepared for what is coming. How then we should work? Sri Ramakrishna said, okay, don't worry. If you are already in the world, if you have been pushed into the pool and you are already wet and drenched, do this. When you are working in the world, living in the world, hold the feet of the Lord with one hand and with the other hand keep working in the world. So you are not forgetting God, you are keeping in touch of God all the time, even when you are fully engaged in the world. So, what can you do? God has put you there in this world, in this situation. You have to accept it, and you have to execute the job in front of you. All the responsibilities and duties that has already been entrusted upon you, you have to carry on with that. Take it as God's mandate and take it, accept it, but without forgetting God at the same time. So, hold God's feet with one hand and then with another hand work, so long as you have the responsibility of discharging your duties in the world. After the responsibilities are over, when you have retired, when your children and next generation are ready to take the responsibility on, then hold the feet of the God with both of your hands. What does that mean? It means that only part of your mind be in the world and part of mind towards God. That you are never forgetting for a moment that this is what is most precious, important, and it is the love of my life. You never forget that. This is what Sri Ramakrishna's prescription. His spiritual son, Swami Brahmananda, went one step further. Swami Brahmananda was his most beloved disciple and almost considered his son, spiritual son, and the first head of the Ramakrishna order. Swami Vivekananda made him. Everybody had the highest respect for him for his greatest level of spiritual attainment, and he will be living and walking with that kind of an aura, like he is radiating spirituality all around him. He would say, no, not half and half. It is not that with one hand you catch hold of God, with another hand, it is like 50%, God 50%. He said, no. 75% to God only, you give your mind. With 25%, if you pay attention to the work, it is enough, he says. It is enough to pay 25% attention to the world. We understand the rationale of all these things, that if you cannot pay full attention to God all the time and be really focused on it, then it is not possible that when you are retired man, you can give your 100% to God. How many retired people, even those who are very religious minded, how many retired people who don't have to carry their responsibility of family anymore, it is fully taken care of. They are paying full attention to God alone. How many? Just give me some example. No. Not only that, only a few I can count on my finger. No, you cannot find a single person. Why? Because the mind is not prepared really to enjoy the company of God. Thinking of God is not that enjoyable. Sri Ramakrishna was visiting with some of his disciples, and he saw in that house one of the devotees who had invited him, another relative who was very elderly man. He was sitting somewhere in one corner playing with his friend some card game. Sri Ramakrishna said, look at him. Even at this age, he was very old man. Even at this age, he thinks he has no need to chant the name of the Lord now. He is engaged in card game. So he was shocked, but we are not shocked because we know how people live their life. When I was living in San Diego, California, there was outside the the San Diego area, there were many retirement communities, and their weekends, many luxury coaches, they will leave from their communities going to the Las Vegas. So that was the regular way that the retirement time they could spend. What else they could do? So this is the real challenge, that unless you prepare your mind for engaging in God, you cannot do it. You cannot do it. So it requires a whole lot of preparation and working about it, how we can do. If you keep your mind in the worldly activities all the time, Sri Ramakrishna says the mind is like a clean linen. In whichever colored water it will be soaked, the linen gets colored like that. So if you put in a blue color water, it will become blue. Put it in red color, it will become red. That's it. That's simple. If your mind is engaged in one kind of activity, it will gradually pick up the interest and attention and joy, charm, attraction there. And it will like to go back there all the time. And we understand that this is very simple psychological fact. That's even Sri Ramakrishna knew when this psychology and psychotherapy and all these things were not this developed, he knew that. And we know how true it is. So it requires some kind of attention to be paid on this subject. One question can be raised, that Is it a good idea to stay in the world while we are working? As Swami Brahmananda says, only 25% of your mind, if you put on the work, that is enough. That is enough. 75% you pay attention to God. Just remain engaged in God thinking. Is it a safe thing to do? Or does that make our work efficient enough to remain competitive in our life? Is it a good idea to, while even engaged in the world, remain engaged in God, thought of God? Answer to that will be that what is our mind? What is our mind after all? We say mind, but what is this mind? The mind is a continuous flow, incessant flow of numerous different thought and ideas and images. They are so many in number that we don't think that they are separate, but they are different. Like when we watch a movie, we don't see that they are different shots coming in very rapid sequence. We see a continuous idea or thought and movement, and that is what is our mind. Our mind is not about one picture at a time or one idea at a time. It is numerous ideas and numerous pictures are coming constantly. We are thinking so many things. Nowadays people talk about multitasking in their mind. While driving, do text messaging. And also, this is not true. This is not true that it is multitasking. It is about your mind is already very fragmented. It is a flow of many different thoughts and ideas. How you sequence them, what is the order of different thoughts you are allowing to come into your mind. In most of the cases, this is how it works. Like you are working, then your mind is saying, work XYZ, work XYZ, work XYZ. Whatever you are doing. Similarly, you are going to the shrine and now you are doing to the worship and doing something. Chanting holy name, praying, reading a scripture. With incense stick you are honoring the divine picture, and all sorts of things you are doing. A flower you are offering. So mind is doing like this. God XYZ, God work XYZ, God. So this is how the mind works. This is how we think that we are doing. When we are in the shrine, yes, we are trying to keep the mind G, several times spoken. Predominantly G and XYZ and work less dominant. We try, depending upon how successful you are. When you are in the workplace, we try to predominantly have that particular work more repeated than XYZ. And that is how we work. We say that we are focused, but yes, occasionally surely you recognize this malady that you are absent-minded. You are thinking of what happened to my grandson, did he get into that college he was very much interested in, like that. And then you come back to your work thinking. So mind is constantly thinking many things. Can we populate this thought where these are already fragmented with more of G, God. More populate it wherever it is possible to take a break or it is already broken thoughts. Because whenever, even in the workplace, we think about work, what kind of work is there? How do we do our works? We know that there are not all works are same. Are all works same? No. We live our life, some portion of our work is very, very mechanically done. Some portion of our work in our life, we do it in a mechanical way. It is like a monotonous thing, and it is like practiced so well through a long period of acting in the same fashion that you really don't need to pay your whole soul attention there anymore. Like you are brushing your teeth kind of thing, or doing your laundry, or heating some a cup of milk in the microwave. Do you need a whole lot of attention paid there? Absolutely focused on that, how microwave works and how to be carefully doing it? No, you do it. You have done it so many times in your life that it is just a mechanical thing. You just pay a little bit of attention there, and that's enough. So this is one kind of work which is mostly automated in your brain. You really don't need to pay a whole lot of attention. You pick up some certain dress and you're changing dress to go out. You keep doing many different things, and you don't need a whole lot of attention. This is one kind of your engagement in your life. When you are not actually in the shrine room doing your worship, meditating on God, you are engaged in the world. But what kind of engagement? It is very automated mechanical activity, this kind of engagement. Then there is another kind of engagement. A little more attention is required. Like you are reading a book. If your mind is not there, your mind is somewhere else, then you don't get anything from the book. You have to start from the beginning of the paragraph once again if you are absent-minded. Similarly, there would be some kind of activities in your life which needs a little more attention, a little more focus. You are in the conversation with another person that needs a little more focus. Otherwise, you will not really follow the flow of rational exchanges. What the other person said, you did not hear properly, process it in your brain, then how would you be responding? Naturally, you cannot. So you have to pay real attention there. Good amount of attention. This is the second category of work. And there is a third category of workplace situation where you have to really, really concentrate your mind. Otherwise, it is not so simple and easy. Very hard a task that you are trying to perform. A heart surgeon at the operation theater. Now, how much focus of mind should be there? He cannot absent-mindedly thinking something else do it. Yeah, he is very expert and done it so many times in the past. Still, he has to do a real attentive job. Otherwise, it will be a disaster. An accountant who has to finish the job of completing the account is now tallying the balance sheet, where it is almost impossible, apparently, to have the debit and credit side at the end on the first attempt come same number. He has to be really, really focused and attentive and not miss a single digit or a number anywhere. So there would be three different kinds of workplace situation we understand. And these three different places of workplaces needs three different levels of attention. But even in that highest level of attention, there are occasional break of the thought current, occasional break of thought current. It might be a short spell of break or a longer spell of break, but occasional spell will be there, always there. If it is not so, then the person is actually perfected in meditation. The definition of meditation is that, where there is no break at all, and the man will be elevated to a sublime level of mental peace. When there is no break in the thought processing, the same thought continuously happening for a longer period of time, according to the definition of Yoga Sutra, that is known as dhyana. And after dharana, dhyana, only samadhi remains. Yam, niyama, asana, pranayam, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. Then the man goes into samadhi after that. If that brain surgeon, if there was no break in his attention paid, only thinking on those tiny tissues and other, only there his mind was, the mind never thought of anything else, then after the surgery he retires into his antechamber and goes into deep samadhi. Does that happen? No. So, there are breaks and there are occasional breaks of spells of different thought entering there. All these different kinds of work situations, as I mentioned, that I broke into 3 different categories. Category number 1 and category number 2, we can populate those XYZ by replacing it with only G, God, God, God. Those thoughts. Work, God, work, God, work, God, 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 work, work, God, God, God. The mind flowing, the flow of the mind. Mind is like a flowing river. The flow is like that. Not let XYZ enter there. Pay attention to the work, and if it is not attentive to the work or it is not required, then think of God. Can you do that? This is what Sri Ramakrishna is saying. Even at the highest level of attention to be paid in your workplace, whenever there is possibility of a little gap or little break, let that break be with the thought of God or taking the holy name of God. The mind is flowing Godwardly alone, other than the workplace. When Sri Ramakrishna says, hold on to the feet of the Lord with one hand and execute your duties with the other hand, he is talking about that. That maximize the availability of your time in life by populating with the thought of God. Don't waste it. When he says the human life is most precious and valuable, he is trying to just remind us, because we are kids in the world of spiritual life. So like parents that needs to remind the baby or the child growing up that do this, don't do that. Sri Ramakrishna is reminding us that don't waste your time, maximize it with the thought of God. Yes, you have to work in the world, you have to live in the world, you have already accepted the responsibility of the world, don't run away from there. As Sri Krishna tells to Arjuna, even if it is very big, heavy burden, face it, bravely accept it, and keep fighting your life with the right attitude. And what is that attitude? Not to waste your time. Whatever you have to do, you do it, and then fill the rest of the time slot, whatever is available, with God thought only. For those who are in that highest intensity level working, as I gave a couple of examples, those who cannot possibly give too much of thought other than the pressing need of that moment, for them Sri Ramakrishna says that before starting your work, go pray to the Lord, take His holy name, surrender yourself in His hands, think that He will be your guide, support all the time, holding your hands, and then you, with His permission, go to your workplace. If there is possibility, in between, remember Him, but nevertheless, when you have finished your job, you return back and now you are free, then again surrender yourself and your all the work and its effects at the feet of the Lord and say, Sir, I have done to the best of my knowledge and intention, and now the fruit of all my work I offer to you, please accept it. This is for them who cannot pay attention to anything else other than their work, which is very hard task they have to perform. This is the way Sri Ramakrishna has taught for people who have to live in the world. So we find that there is a possibility. If we can cut back the XYZ thoughts from our mind, then it is possible to populate the mind with the thought of God, 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 here and there, as many times as possible, maximize the time available to you. Everybody has got the same time, 24 hours only in a day. Maximize the utilization of that time. This is what she said. This remembering God incessantly, this has been very famously said and everyone knows about it. It is called practice of the presence of God. This is very famously known as practice of the presence of God. I remember when I was a brahmachari, the batch of brahmacharis coming from training center, at the training center of Belur Math, every evening going to the President Maharaj. At that time, the 10th President, Swami Vireshwaranandji was there, and the brahmacharis were encouraged to ask any question. And one of the brahmacharis says, Maharaj, how do you do this practice of the presence of God? And he said, just practice it, practice. Just practice always remembering God. That is all you can do. So, it is about practice of the presence of God. What we do actually. Just chant the holy name, or anything else is there to be discussed here? Well, many different ways we can do this practice of the presence of God. As a very beginner, a person can think that God is all the time with me. I cannot see Him, but He is seeing me. This incident I have said before, that one old Swami who was a retired monk and lived in a retirement house. In the monastery there is a house where all the retired monks, they can stay in Belur Math. So he had lost his eyesight completely. He was blind. But he would be brought to the main temple in a wheelchair by some attendant, and he will slowly walk with the help of that attendant the stairs and go to the temple and stand in front of the Lord for a while, bow down, and then again return back. So one day a brahmachari asked, Swamiji, what are you doing here? Coming all the way, you are so old, it makes us pained to see how much effort you have to make to come here. At the same time, we know that you don't see anything. You don't see. So why are you coming to this temple? You can, from your own room, you can think of God. He said that, I cannot see, but He is watching me. That's why I go to all the temple. Mother's temple, Swamiji's temple, Swami Brahmananda temple. So I go to all the temple and bow down to them. I know I cannot see with these eyes, but he is seeing me. That's why I come. Now this is one practice we can do. We can think all the time while we are in the world, walking around, doing everything, all our work, and feel that he is by me. He is on my side. He is watching me with a benign smile on his face, very graciously. He is taking care of me. He is holding my hands when I am walking the road. He is there. Can we keep the memory of that? This is a very important thing. Keeping the memory. It is not about, oh yes, God is there all the time there and he is watching me and he is taking care of me. No, it is not about that God is taking. Even the creature who is crawling on the dust, even God is watching that creature, that crawling worm. We are not talking about that. We are talking about practice of the presence of your mind, about the presence of God. Have you practiced it? Are you remembering that the God is watching you? He is holding your hand. He is your friend. He is your all in all. Your father, mother, your protector. He is not just the creator. He is all. If one can do that, that is a very important thing. That is very important thing. That is constantly thinking about that the God is with me, surrounding me. He is in front of me. Just these eyes are not yet trained enough and pure enough and holy enough, sacred enough, that I can see his divine form appearing in front of my eyes. Is that true that if my eyes are clean and pure and holy and I can see him? Yes, that is what it is. We find in the Bhagavad Gita when Sri Krishna showed his universal form to Arjuna. It was only Arjuna who saw him. The rest of the army and the very famous and big name people there standing, they did not see anything. It was only Arjuna who saw that. And it was for a short period of time that this was allowed, this vision. So it is possible if a person can rise to the level of that purity, or if he receives the grace of the Lord that, okay, I grant you this permission, you see me, then it is possible to see that it is his presence always with us. Now there is a problem. The problem is, if a person is very emotional kind of a person, then this imagination that God is here and with me might create some kind of a mental problem. A strongly emotional person might enter into some kind of a hallucination. And in a hallucination, something very terrible might be done or felt, experienced. People do all sorts of things in their psychological problem. They say they have heard that God is saying them to go and kill such and such person. We don't know. So when we are saying like this, that thing that God is there and he is real and he is always present and he is protecting you, a very highly emotionally charged mind might think that, oh yes, God is here and I have to do this and that. We have to remember that imagination is not actualization. The reality, the truth of it is different from your imagining thing. This imagination is about support system, supporting you, your mind to be populated with the thought of God. That's it, nothing more than that. Don't cross the line of rational thinking. Understanding what God is, or visualizing God, or understanding what God wants, it requires a person to rise to the level of a spiritually illumined person. Until and unless then, Until that, nothing has happened to you. You are an ordinary person. Just populate your mind with the thought of God, and there it should end. There would be a large number of people who are mostly comfortable with thinking God not anthropomorphic way. Like God is all pervading pure consciousness. He is a blissful, peaceful grace that is surrounding me. I am always with God in this formless aspect, who is showering mercy and grace on me in so many different ways. The water that is raining down from the sky, or the birds that are chirping, or the flower that is blossoming here and there all around me, and the people around me who are so very friendly and so very kind to me, my family members who are very loving and caring, and all my friends and everybody, these are the presence of God which has appeared in these forms, and it is the grace of God which is being showered on me, the merciful Lord, who is otherwise not visible to my eyes. It is a formless, pure consciousness aspect of the divine who is everywhere. I do not see him, I do not know how he works, but I strongly believe that it is him whose grace is showered on me. That is how I am living. I am breathing only his grace. My life is sustained by him. This is practice of the presence of God. No? When you say, what is this practice of the presence of God? Shall I keep chanting? Yes, that is a good idea. But there are other ways we can think about that. This is how we can practice the presence of the God. Sri Ramakrishna says that the God has appeared in all different forms. In Bhagavad Gita also, again and again Sri Krishna reminds that all the different forms that are there, it is me alone which is there in them. So, there is nothing that is not permeated and pervaded by God alone. So all people everywhere is God. People and creature. It is written in Bhagavad Gita, it is there in the Upanishads and all these places, but as you know, before the coming of Sri Ramakrishna and Swami Vivekananda, even in India, where people will be religious minded and they will memorize the all 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, 700 verses, and they will chant continuously every day, but they will not act accordingly. Because what is the inner meaning of it? They had no clue. And Swami Vivekananda said, no. Remember what Krishna said, Lord Krishna says, that I am in all these people and creature and everywhere. If it is so, how come that you cannot see God in that suffering soul? The hungry and the destitute and the poor and the sick and the illiterate, they are suffering all around you. They are crying for help. And you are passing by without paying any attention. It is God. You have chanted just now from Bhagavad Gita. So pay attention there. And instead of, you are carrying your basket of some fruits and flowers and instead to the temple, you don't have to go there. Feed this poor man, and that is your worship to the Lord. So Swami Vivekananda advised, especially people in India during his time, and gradually it has become very well known, called by practical Vedanta. He said that worship God that is appearing in front of you in the form of the poor, the hungry, the illiterate, the ignorant, the suffering. Worship God there. Go. This is This is how intensifying your spiritual practice, which previously was only bhakti and jnana, now the karma also adds there up. Seeing God everywhere. When we think that how we can practice the presence of God, practice of the presence of God, this is the practice of the presence of God. That see God alone everywhere, in all people, and treat them accordingly. Treat them accordingly. Treat them accordingly doesn't mean that as you treat God in the temple, you take some flowers and fruits and incense sticks, and so somebody is sick, then you don't take the incense sticks and lamp and bell in your hand, because that is not worshipping the God in the sick in proper way. You take medicine, you nurse the sick man, and you feed the man with the right kind of thing, and you help the man to get up to on your feet healthy way. That is how you are worshipping God there. But remembering that it is God alone who has appeared in all the different ways is the practice of the presence of God. Sri Ramakrishna says that yes, God has appeared in all different ways, but he has got special manifestation. He has got special manifestation. When there is someone who is great, he is strong, he is powerful, he is a very highly intellectual a person, he is famous, he is very much loved and adored by many people, then know for sure that it is God's special manifestation. We find in Bhagavad Gita also in the chapter 7 and chapter 10 that Sri Krishna tells, consider me to be this here, that the sap in the water, the moon in the sky, and the glitter in the moon and the sun radiance, it is me, like that he has said. When he says so, that this is what I am, brightness in the fire, life in all being, it is me who is appearing like that. Don't think that he is saying the life in the person is me, rest of the thing is not him. It is what he is saying is that there it is appearing, manifesting in a very special way. As Sri Ramakrishna went to see this Vidyasagar, a great man, very generous, philanthropic, and highly superior in his academic qualities and his qualities of head and heart, both. Sri Ramakrishna went to see him, and he said that I have come here only because it is a special manifestation that is appearing in you. That's why I have come. Now, special manifestation means that manifestation is everywhere, but the special manifestation draws our attention. What Sri Krishna is telling in Bhagavad Gita there, that this glitter in the sun and the moon, it is me. It is the word Om, the holy word Om in all the Vedas. What does that mean? Does that mean that Om is the Lord and rest of the thing is not? No. It means that wherever it is a great attraction, wherever it is shining in a big way, what happens that our mind is distracted, our mind runs there, rushes there. If it is somebody who excels in something, then our whole attention goes there. When the attention goes there, don't think it in a secular way. Think it in spiritual way. See the glitter of God there. It is shining, God is shining in a wonderful way. You saw a very exceptionally handsome man or a beautiful woman. You saw. Your attention immediately went there. And in your heart, you admired that beauty, physical beauty. Okay. Immediately translate it in the terms of Bhagavad Gita. Say that, Lord, you have so gloriously, you have manifested here. There are so many other young men going around, but this young man is worth watching. Or this strong man is worth admiring, how strong he is. He can defeat all other wrestlers. Or he is the 3 times Olympic champion consecutively in swimming, like that. Now your attention is a whole lot focused there as he is the great. But when you see the greatness there, you see the special manifestation, the revealing of the greatness of the Lord, who is everywhere. Just he is revealed from there much more. Can you do that? Try to do that. It is not that he is not anywhere else, he is only here. God is everywhere. Wherever all of a sudden your special attention goes, think God. Think God. Remember God. Don't fall prey to the secular aspect of it. This is Maya, that the world is so charming, it is so glittery, it is so wonderful. We listen to a music, we watch a picture, and we taste a food, and we do all sorts of things, and we feel wonderful, wonderful. And also we feel awful, that is another thing. But once in a while we see wonderful, glorious, beautiful, exceptional. I like it. I enjoy it. I want it more. We say in our heart. That is Maya. That is the cover-up. In the Isha Upanishad, the prayer goes in the end, Hiranmayena patrena satyasya pihitam mukham. The mouth or the face of the truth has been apihita, covered by a golden orb or a golden disc. And that glittering gold is drawing our 100% attention. We are only seeing gold and its shine and dazzle, and we like it. And we want it. We want to make it our. But it is the cover. It is the covering of that which lies behind it, which is the truth, Satya. The truth is covered by the glitter, the glory, somebody becoming the World Cup soccer champion. Something is happening that takes our whole attention, draws our whole attention, and we worship the glorious person. Well, it is not wrong in worshiping the glory. Can you remember deep in your heart that it is a special manifestation of the divine? Then you don't forget the divine ever. So this is how we practice constantly the presence of God. And this is how we live successfully in the life that is given to us in the world. So living in the world is nothing wrong, nothing bad. Sri Ramakrishna has encouraged every householder devotee and said, no, it is everything fine, everything perfect. But never forget him for even a moment. Always remember him while you execute your duties in the world. Hold on to his feet with one hand all the time, and only with another hand do your duty. Write the email in your computer. Cook something in the kitchen, do your washing in the laundry. But this hand holds on to God and never let it slip away, so that when your work is finished, when you are now time to take full retirement, then with both hands hold the God alone. Thank you.